Hello everybody. I'm gonna take you on a little journey with me. Back in March of 2020, I ended up buying this old homestead quite a ways out of town. And when we first moved in, the first thing we had to do was remodel the house. That went on for many months. It's still a work in progress. But then in August, I realized I didn't get to put a garden in. Didn't plant any of my fruit trees like I was hoping to. I was too busy working on the house. So August came around and I decided, well, we got to get something that can produce food on the property. So I decided I'm going to build myself a chicken coop. And of course I went on YouTube and started watching a bunch of videos, getting ideas. It had to be a budget build, as I've got time more than I've got money. So pallets seemed like an easy thing for me to accomplish. So I put the word out on Facebook and let my friends know I was looking for any and all pallets, and I didn't want to pay for them because a lot of guys charge $5 nowadays. I just can't do it. So here I am, tearing apart, I think my second or third pallet. Just realized that the camera couldn't even see what I was doing, so come over here, readjust a little bit, and get back to work. It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour to rip down a whole pallet. The reason I'm not using Sawzall or cutting it apart is because then the nails are stuck in the 2x4s and you can't do much with them. So we'll get back to work here, just kind of showing the process. You can watch videos on YouTube. They show you all these different techniques to use. I found that blocks of wood worked out good for me. It's a little challenging reaching all the way into the middle, but it could be done. Some pallets are easier than others. I was losing, I'd say about 50% of the wood was just trashed by the time I got it taken apart. But after about 30 pallets or so, I had enough wood to get started on the coop. And that's something that'll be coming up in a later video. I'm just going to kind of share the process, my progress, my struggles, which were many indeed. And for whatever reason, always when you're taking apart these pallets, there's always one stubborn piece of wood that just won't let go. And sometimes you just gotta move on to the next one, come back to it. As you'll see, I do that here. Yeah, this guy right here, he'll see me pound on it. I was putting my back into that one, and he just wouldn't let go. Always tricky setting up the blocks. I'm sure it's much easier if you can just step into the thing and put them where you want them. Gravity's always fighting you, whether it's pulling you down or pulling you back, pushing you the way you don't want to go. But you readjust, keep on going. It's just what you got to do if you want to get it done. I ended up building this whole thing, I'd say more than 95% totally solo. That really wasn't my plan. I wasn't trying to prove anything. It just ended up being the way it was. Yeah, that's that board right there. He just was not gonna let go. So you move on to the next and come back and see if you can make something happen. I'm out in the high desert of California. It's nice and hot in the summer. We'll break 100 degrees pretty often, but mostly in the 90s. In the shade, it's not bad. I'm an old desert rat, so it doesn't bother me much. Here I came back to that stubborn SOB. And he still didn't want to let go. Boy, oh boy. But like I said, I got 50% success with usable wood. Even more if you count little pieces I could shave off or rip down and make usable for other projects, or small little pieces I needed here and there along the progress. And every once in a while, you'll split a whole 2x4 in half, whacking on it like that. It's just inevitable. Sometimes if you get a good enough piece, you could rip it down and get a 2x2 out of it, which is not a bad thing. I ended up using quite a bit of those. And then, really, you gotta just keep plugging away at it until it gives up the ghost. Because it's either you or him now. Obviously, you got to be a little bit creative and a whole heck of a lot stubborn. And for me, it's just a matter of just not ever giving up. You just keep going. Eventually, you'll reach your goal. It might take you a heck of a lot longer than somebody that's not stuck in a chair, but it don't matter. You'll get there. And when you do, it feels good. Yeah, through the weeks it took me to tear apart all these pallets, my technique improved greatly. I got much better at breaking these pallets apart. I got better blocks of wood that just fit better. One of the tricky parts is all these pallets are different sizes. They're different widths, different lengths. The planks are different thicknesses. Even the 2x4s are different. They're not real 2x4s. Some are 2x3s. Some are all over the place. So you got to have a variety of different blocks that can kind of fit in between pallets where the planks are really tight together. You can't hammer down on the 2x4 like I am here. And in that case, you can just use a skinnier piece of wood and then hammer down on that, which will hit between the slats. I ended up using that pretty often, as you'll see in a later video if you stick around. Yeah, the other half of that broken piece wasn't so great. That became a trash pile there. But look at that. A real nice 48-inch 2x4 came out of that. That right there made it all worth it. And sometimes, tearing apart a pallet, that might be all you get out of one. Especially if you're on the cheap like me and get free ones. Free pallets means you don't get to pick and choose. You take what you can get. but I eventually ended up with a pretty good stack of 2x4s, 2x3s, and a pretty darn big stack of those slats. The toughest part, they're all varying lengths, thicknesses, and widths. But it also came in handy sometimes. So this was just my process. Maybe it inspire you. Maybe you see some of my dumb mistakes like this part here. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just put the block on and gave it one whack. I learned as I went along, improved my technique. Although I never really got much faster. It always took at least 45 minutes to break apart a pallet. So I'd do anywhere from 3 to 6 a day. And then my back started getting pretty achy and my hips pretty tight. And I'd call it quits on the pallets and go work on something else for the rest of the day. So there you go. That's me breaking down a pallet without ever having to stand up. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.